Welcome to Racice in the Czech Republic for the first ICF Canoe Sprint World Cup of the season 2022. I'm Ali Johnson, and alongside me David Smith, former Olympic champion in the K4s, and we'll be taking you through the action this morning. We have 11 races. We're racing K4s, we're racing C2s, C1s and K1s, and the paddlers cannot wait to get underway with this morning's A finals. It's been a long time coming, and for some of these paddlers, the Australians and the New Zealanders, they haven't raced a World Cup since 2019. We're getting back to something a little bit more like normal. Well, we're here at the Labe Arena in Racice in Czech Republic, about 40 minutes drive north of the capital. As I said, alongside me, David Smith. And Smithy, looking forward to the racing this morning, particularly the K4s?
Absolutely, I can't wait for it. Pleasure being here, thank you for having me. And I do apologise for the thick Aussie accent, so I'll do my best to clear up that English for everyone.
Yeah, I'll try and translate if necessary. Okay, good stuff. No, it's great to have you here, and of course, you have that experience of what it takes to compete at the very top level and win those medals. And as we see the course there, a popular course, you must have raced here several times at Racice. What did you make of it?
A number of times. It's a very good course, but I have had some experiences in hot weather, cool weather. I mean, there's been years where we've gotten off the water freezing cold, and then the next year it's warm. And yesterday and today, it's a flip of the coin of what it is, but yesterday was quite warm weather, and today a bit of a cool change, but crosswind, tailwind there. It's could be fast, could be medium. We'll see what happens.
We will indeed, yes. We just saw the program there. We're going to start off with the C1 men 200 meters. Not many 200 meter races this morning. It's more 1,000 and 500, but you can see the details of the C1 men's 200 meters. Not Olympic. It was some time ago, way back in 2012 when you won your gold medal. And we can see the lineup there. We have Nadzi Nadiradze from Georgia. He'll be going in lane 1. That will be the top of your picture. Lane 9 at the bottom of your picture. So lane 2, we'll see Vadim Korobov in a minute, the first of 2 Lithuanians in this final as the paddlers approach the starting boots. Then we'll have Henrikas Zustautas from Lithuanian 3. There we saw Mattia Alfonsi from Italy in lane 4. Oleksiy Koliajic from Poland goes in 5, the fastest qualifier. Fabian Schatz from Germany in 6. David Koryansky, the Hungarian, in 7. Ole Borokov from Ukraine in 8. And Li Zhehui from China goes in 9. Paddlers just leaning against that boot. They'll wait for the set from the starter, and they'll be underway over this short distance very soon. So first stroke, what do you make of the 200 meters?
Well, we can't discount the Lithuanians. Traditionalists in 200 metres are very much specialists. As you can see, Henrikas and Vadim, they'll be very quick. They both have had success over this distance, being European champions and holding the world's fastest time. So you cannot discount what the Lithuanians will do here.
No, indeed. No, they're certainly good over those short distances, even before this became Olympic. But you can see lane 8 there going really well, getting a lot out of each stroke there. That is the Ukrainian Borokov. We'll have to wait for the finish, though. We can see lane 3. That looks like Zustautas, who you mentioned, the Lithuanian, maybe going over to take the win there, followed by the Hungarian and the Ukrainian. So Koryansky and Borov looking like second and third. We should see that come up, the graphic, in a little bit, I hope. And of course, timing that lunge in the C1 is always an entertaining thing as well.
Absolutely, always. It's always a good show to see those seaboaters really dive for that line. They really put it out there. It can make a big difference, particularly if they do mistime it. We have seen medals lost and won as a result of a mistimed lunge by those seaboats, but it's a make-or-break situation in these close races of 200s.
Yeah, it is indeed. You know, very, very small margins. You might see 4 or 5 boats all on the same second. And, you know, if it's down to who lunges best on the line, then they're going to do that. But no need, in fact, perhaps from Henrikas Zustautas. He was the outstanding performer in this 200 metres. That's a decent gap he's got over the rest of the field.
It's very clear distance. Current world champion at this point in time, holding fastest European best time. So no surprises to see that result.
Yeah. Great think so. He's delighted with that. The beginning of his World Cup season underway well and underway successfully for him. You see a few more people in the crowd there watching and looking forward to seeing the racing, and looking forward to seeing, in fact, the women's K4 500 metres, which will be coming up shortly. We'll just wait confirmation of the result there. 39.71. Henrika Zostautes, Koryansky, Borovk, second and third. We may well see, hopefully, Ross Solly from the International Canoe Federation down there. Might get a chance to interview Zostautes. We'll just wait for that. There he is down there on the pontoon waiting. And hopefully we'll see him very, very shortly. And as I say, we'll be moving up to the 500-metre distance for the next couple of races.
Enriquez, congratulations, world champion 2019. Good start for the season here today.
Yeah, I'm very happy. And tomorrow, in today morning, we don't know. We're starting 100% or just for fun, because we have after 40 minutes C2 500. So in morning, with coach say you go to 100%, and I'm very happy to win this race.
So the coach should be happy with you now, you think?
I think yes.
It's a big season for you. How do you feel about this season, 2022?
I don't know, we will see. Now it's for first final this season, and I won, so it's good for me.
Well, congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Good to hear from him. So planning for the season ahead, we'll look ahead to the K4 women's 500 metres. There you go, the details. We've got 11 metres, that boat. 30 kilograms is the minimum weight. Olympic champions, of course, are hungry, but hungry for the win here, indeed. We may well find New Zealand doing well, but this, David, has to be one of the races that's most anticipated for this World Cup.
Yes, big boats. Always exciting to watch four paddlers going down as hard as they can over a K4 500. Very intense race, and being the first World Cup coming back from normal life into normal life, everyone's very excited for this race.
Yeah, and we said it earlier, actually, but there's no replacement, is there, for actually racing? You do all the intense training you like, but actually, until you get on the start line, you don't quite know where you're at.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot to be said for race experience, and for athletes to go through the process of racing. It's another form of training, essentially, when it comes down to really important races. So you've always got to make ssure that you're learning from each race. Get something out of it, win, lose, or fail.
Absolutely right. Well, we've got the Italians in lane one, Cicilla, Rosa, Petraccia and Fantini. And then lane two, Hoskin, Carrington, there's a name we've heard before, Brett and Vaughan. And we'll talk about those. Hopefully we'll get a little bit of a chance to talk about the New Zealanders a little bit more in a while. Spanish next to them, lane three, Pardo, Zapata, Vega and Corral. And then we've got the German crew, Rollings, Aft, Jax and Dieterich. Germans still trying to find their ultimate crew. It was always between the Germans and the Hungarians in the past, but perhaps not so these days. Then the Polish crew, Naj, Palauska, Kakol, a new member of the team, and Puto. Then the second Spanish crew in this race, Utzand, Garcia, Pelax and Portea. Then we have Nan, Yewen, Lang and Lingya from China go in 7. Australian crew of Beer, Bull, Clark and Steinpreis. And then the Canadians will see another resurgent nation, the Canadians, Langlois, Davidson, Melanson and Becerra. So, if we get a minute, just very briefly, what about the New Zealanders then? Maybe a little bit disappointed with their Olympic performance, a few changes in the boat, a few retirements?
Look, considering the performance of the K2 of Caitlin Ryan and Lisa Carrington, the way they won in such a dominant performance, you would expect that they were hoping to win a medal. The performance is what it was. You can't blame them for how good it was and not achieving what they achieved. But hopefully they took away something to be proud of in that K4. I mean, they raced to the line. It was incredible the way those Kiwi girls really took on that race, particularly with the firepower that they had. but it's quite interesting to see that we've got a bit of a changing of the guard of the Kiwis. Lisa is doing a phenomenal job. It's really looks like she's really taking a leadership role in developing that K4 around her, because she's got, obviously you got Elisa Hoskin again as a young girl still developing, but then the other two girls, Olivia Brett and Tara Vaughan, very much newbies to the team, and Lisa's clearly taking it under the wing to drag these girls along and improve them.
Good stuff, yeah, indeed. Well, let's see how they get on in this race. So, we've got Italy, New Zealand, Spain, Germany, Poland, Spain again, China, Australia and Canada. Nervous moments before the start. The final of the women's K4 500 metres, the first World Cup of the 2022 season. We're underway. Now, what will be going through their minds right now as they bed into the start of this race?
Look, really trying to hold their angles on the blades, really trying to bury that blade and make sure they have really good traction of the stroke rate. It's really easy in the K4, particularly in the tailwind, to really lose sight of your stroke rate. It's important to make sure that you really bury that blade to really lever on it. And as you can see, the Aussies have been really focusing on their first 250, and you can see with that strong start, they're out in front here.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, that, isn't it? Really, as you say, bury the blade. It's a heavy boat. You've got to lift that boat up and get it up and running. Not a difficult thing to do with 4 people in, but the Australians certainly have started well over this first section. As you say, that's what they've been working on. That will give them confidence, but now I guess they've got to transition into the middle section of the race.
Absolutely, and that their strength is that first half, so right now they're going to feel that tension, they're going to feel that pressure building in. They've got to just make sure they stay strong at the catch, make sure they keep it light at the back end of the stroke, take advantage of this tailwind to bring it home.
Yeah, that's right, absolutely. He's going to make the times quick. We haven't seen world record breaking times, maybe a little bit blustery, but the times are quick. The poles are going well at the moment as well. Always experience a little bit of a change in their crew, but such a good setup for the poles, and they look like they're leading their way now towards the finish. So we get into the dying moments of this race. There's about another 10 to 15 seconds to go now, and it's the poles that perhaps have the lead. They're holding it together as they approach the line. There you can see 5 from the top of your picture. We have Poland being pushed by Spain, Germany and China just behind them. Well, great race from the Polish there. They seem to have the best rhythm, perhaps the length in the stroke, working it together as a unit. As I've said, a little bit of a change. Adriana Kakol, only 21 years old, has been added to that boat. But apart from that, it's quite an experienced crew, especially the 2 up front, Naj and Palauska. So good, of course, picking up the bronze medal in Tokyo in the K4, but very good over K2 in a K2 as well. But they raced that well.
Yeah, that performance is what it was from the Polish. That was to be expected, I believe. They were definitely the favourites in that situation. Germans, obviously, you can see a lot of new names in that boat as well. They've put in a good performance for the first time back. And actually, what is really good to see, Spain, 2 K4s in that World Cup final. That's very impressive there. But being a Patriot, Aussies, very good performance. 4th, 5th, obviously, all young girls developing. Well done.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be really positive, hasn't it? You know, they're right up there. They're just behind. Australia's 1.28 behind the winners. It's not a big margin, is it? And, of course, as you said, a young and developing crew with half an eye on Paris 24. So good for them. Just check the results here. We've got Poland coming through there. And then it's close. So Poland, we've got Spain, we've got Germany, and China not far off the pace there either. In fact, sorry, China were 3rd, it looks like, unconfirmed as yet, and Germany in 4th place. So hopefully we'll have Ross down on the pontoon there, and he'll be interviewing a few of the Polish paddlers. And Anna Palauska there, she knows, she's often interviewed by Ross. She just wants to have a quick cuddle before she speaks, and rightly so.
Girl, congratulations, really strong race. You had to come home hard, though. Anna, how did you feel the race went?
Yeah, it was a great race for us. It was first final in this team, so we are really happy. Little surprised, maybe, yes, but happy, and now we know what we want to do to be better.
When you say surprised you did well, or surprised that it was harder than you thought?
No, surprised a little bit the weather, and surprised for it's the new team, and we don't know nothing what we do. So, but we now we know.
You have a new young paddler here, just 21 years old. It must be exciting, but new for you to try something different.
No.
Very different for you.
Yes, it's a little different, but we believe the younger girl will be strong like our team.
Well, congratulations. Well done, girls.
So a great result for Poland. Spain in second, China third, Germany, Australia, New Zealand just behind that. And it's interesting, isn't it, David? Of course, Anna Palauska there. You can see the time 1:32. Talking about also developing. So they've won the race, but as you see with any elite athlete, it's right. What can we do better? What learning can we take from that in order to improve?
Yeah, absolutely. Win or lose, there's always something to learn, and we are only in World Cup 1. So moving forward, those girls will be looking to develop and find those little gaps so they can improve moving into the next World Cup in Poznan on their home turf. So that'll be a really good thing to have. They'll be feeling really positive and confident in what they've done and in their training. And moving forward, they'll certainly look at where they can make those areas of improvement, because there are opportunities to move up the medal tally in that event.
Yeah, indeed. We just saw the graphic there coming up, the C2 Women 500 Final A. We'll see that fairly shortly. It's just due in a few minutes yet. So perhaps just gives us a chance to talk about what they might do, these paddlers, in a week. They've only got a week between now and next weekend in Poznan. What can you do in that short space of time in order to try and tweak it for the next race?
Yeah, I mean, you can't really go out there and train the house down and find those physical improvements in that certain situation, but you can certainly go through and have a look at your start, look at the first 5 strokes, see how you got out, see if you can get out a little bit more efficiently. Everyone will go back and have a look at their mini-max data or the analysis around the speeds, the stroke rates and the times and whatnot. And they'll really look at where they think they can make that 0.2 of a second in that first 50 metres, or that 0.4 of a second in that first 250. There are some gains to be made if you feel like you haven't quite nailed that race performance.
Right, so a lot of data analysis to do between now and then. But the minds of these paddlers in the women's C2 500 metres is purely on the next stroke. And you can see the Cubans, a lot expected from this young crew. Du Bois and Segura being in good form already this weekend. And just to take you through the lineup, we'll have Hungary in lane 1, Bragato and Nagy. Then the Polish crew, Spurkiewicz and Jasewicz in 2. Du Bois and Segura, who we just saw, 6th at the Olympic Games and 3rd at the World Championships in Copenhagen back in September. So watch out for them. We've got Balat and Takash from Hungary, of course. They've been strong in this event over the years. 5th at the Olympic Games, just ahead of the Cubans for them. And then we'll have Zhu Zhizhao and Sun Mengya, Olympic champions. We'll see those in just a moment. So the very first time this was in the Olympic Games in Tokyo, this event, and there we have the champions. So it's great to see such competition in this World Cup event. Next to them will be Lisa Yan and Sophie Koch. Just missed out on the medals in Tokyo, these two in 4th place. And then, what a crew these two are. Both paddling on the same side there on the right-hand side. Ludmila Lutzan and Anastasia Chetverikova. Real stars of the sport. The Ukrainian 2nd place in Tokyo. And then Sophia Jensen and Julia Osend from Canada in lane 8. And Shabazinska and Wolczak from Poland go in 9. So new Olympic distance in Tokyo, ever developing the women's canoe. We haven't got our Canadians, of course, which is a shame, with Laurence Vincent Lapointe deciding to hang up her paddles, but this will be a competitive event.
Absolutely. Obviously, Chinese being the Olympic champions, incredible to see that crew here. Always exciting to see the Cubans. You can always rely on the Cubans to have a quality sea boat, whether it be C1, C2, and to see them here, it's, they always throw a cat amongst the pigeons in the way they race it. So very good to see them here. And obviously the Ukrainians. I do believe that they're the current world and European champions for 2021. So obviously this is quite a competitive field. So it'd be really interesting to see where these girls end up in this event. And also, as you mentioned, Ali, it's a developing field, developing event. So every year you could very much well get a different crew winning. So look out for what happens in Canada.
Yeah, it's going to be close, this one, isn't it? Yes, you are right. Lutzan and Chetverikova, by the way, are the world champions. They also happen to be the European champions as well. So they've got form, haven't they? And they're a great crew. Really exciting to watch. I do enjoy watching those paddle. But as you say, perhaps the favourites being the fastest qualifiers are the Chinese, of course, the Olympic champions. But it's great to see not only a full race, but a really competitive one here. Underway at the start. Important to get up to that boat speed. We're racing over 500 metres, and already we can see lane 3 from the top of your picture. That's the Cubans, and also lane 6, the Germans are away well as well. Chinese either didn't get quite a good start or just perhaps keeping their powder dry.
Absolutely, great start by the Cubans. As we thought, they're always really been aggressive in the way they race their sea boat. So exciting to see them take the race onto the Chinese. Right now, China's just starting to make their way through the field. Traditionally, they're not the fastest starters, but they're always strong through the middle, and they're really making their mark right now.
Yeah, I think they were just listening to you there as they progress through the middle part of this race. Really, really strong, perhaps keeping the stroke long, perhaps just wasting minimal energy, everything they do into making that boat move forwards and working in unison. You can see them there. It's a distinctive white boat and the Chinese colours really, really looking good. And the Cubans, well, they've settled into their rhythm, haven't we? We're past the halfway point. We've 200 metres to go now, another 45 seconds or so. But this looks like it's the Chinese, and it's only going to be, well, they're only going to lose this if the wheels fall off, and it can happen in a crew boat. But certainly they look good at the moment.
They're certainly showing their form as Olympic champions right now. Very competent strokes right now. Cubans are fighting, trying to hold on. Looks like they might just hold on for that medal, but China's definitely spreading out right now.
Yeah, they are maintaining the stroke. Look, they look so controlled, and you can see that from their body language. They're locking onto the front of the stroke. They're driving it forward smoothly. You've got the Ukrainians, who we haven't mentioned in this race, really picking up through there. But look at that. It looks like a training run for the Chinese. Cubans maybe just dropped in the middle, picked it up towards the end. So it's going to be China, Cuba, and then for that third place, well, it's going to be close between Hungarians and Ukrainians. We think it might just be the Hungarians just getting ahead there of the Ukrainians. But, you know, the Ukrainians, has been such a difficult season for them. Just to be up and around about there in the final is a wonderful achievement. But confirmation there of the winners, no doubt about that from the Chinese. Not the best start, but it just shows you, doesn't it? It's not just about the start.
Absolutely not. That start is just a setup for the race. You can't win a race from the start, but you can certainly lose a race from the start. But they've clearly moved out, been controlled. They weren't the fastest off, as I mentioned, but they work through their transition and they find their running speed. And as you can see, they're above the field in how they do that.
Yeah, they are. So all about transitioning. You're right. The Cubans, well, they have all sorts of power, don't they? Really strong, really dynamic, and I think it was Du Bois and Segura actually winning their heats in the C1 200-metre heats yesterday. So good over the short distance, those two, but perhaps a bit of work to do over the longer 500 metres distance. Look at that. There's a huge gap between the Chinese and the Cubans. And then top of the picture looks to be the Hungarian crew. Maybe not the Hungarian crew we expected, coming through to take third, just ahead of the Ukrainians in fourth place. Now, just looking at the times, actually, David, you can see the times, they're incredible. That could well be, it's not far off. No, it's not a world best time, but it's not far off. And hopefully, they'll be able to have a word or two with Ross on that pontoon.
Congratulations, girls, already Olympic champions. What a great race today. You must feel good.
Feel is very good. Yes. Thank you, my partner.
You've had a little bit of an injury with your shoulder and your back. How are you feeling now?
Yes, now it's no problem. Yes, Olympic champion, some problem, but now it's no problem. Yes.
And we're going live to China. So in Chinese, you can say, how do you feel in Chinese about the race?
来一句吧，中国用中文说，就是说，用中文说吧。中国 Chinese very good. Yes. Very good.
In Chinese, you can say it in Chinese.
中国队 Team China good.
Congratulations, well done.
Well, my Chinese isn't great, but I think that might have been Go China, and indeed they did go, didn't they? A little bit of injury after Tokyo, but no stopping them there, and it wasn't a world best time, I don't think, but very, very quick.
It seems like the wind might be shifting a little bit straight down the course. We'll see what happens come this men's K4 500. We'll get a better idea where they come through with those times, but it was an impressive time for what it was.
Yeah, indeed, and a great race from them, and so many athletes, of course, have had different ends of season. Some chose to go to Copenhagen to the World Championships in September. Some chose to have a long rest and a big think about what they wanted to do for the rest of their careers, and others were chomping at the bit. So C1 men 200 meters there. We've got the medal ceremony. You can see Thomas Konechko, the new president of the International Canoe Federation, dishing out the medals. Well, we can see there's Zustautes from Lithuania who won the gold. And we had David Koryansky in second and popular Ukrainian Borovk in third. Well, here on Planet Canoe, you are with myself, Mally Johnson, alongside me, Olympic champion from 2012, David Smith, and we're enjoying the action here at Racice in the Czech Republic, just north of Prague, at the first World Cup of the 2022 season. We've seen C1 men 200 meter final, we've seen the K4 women in the 500 meters, we've seen the C2 women in the 500 meters. We're looking forward now to your event, David, one of the classic events of canoe sprint racing, the men's K4 500 meters, and this one's stacked.
It is very stacked, and it's an impressive field. It's quite interesting to see the women's field in terms, they've had a lot of name changes, so it's a bit of a change in the guard for a lot of those nations. But right now with the men's field, incredible field, big names, obviously Germany, obviously Spain. Been going 1-2 to the last World Championships and Olympic Games, so they'll be really battling it out. Czechs have shown form, Ukraine has shown very good form, and obviously Aussies battling in the mix there. But it's quite an interesting turnout coming through what's happening with the Germans. For the first time that, for what I've seen in a long time, they got beaten in both heat and semi. Have they been holding back? We don't know, but we're going to find out very soon.
Yeah, it's interesting that I was speaking to one of the Czech paddlers, and they said they were disappointed actually with their semi-final because they were trying to hold something back, and it was actually they felt it was quite difficult. And sometimes it's a little bit easier when you know what you're doing and you're going 100%.
Yeah, I mean, Czechs are very capable paddlers, and obviously within that crew there's some familiar names there. Daniel Havel, very, very competent paddler. Jacob Zavrel, he's done one of the fastest K1 500 times in the world. They are traditionally quite a high stroke rate type crew, so don't expect them to see them out the first 250, but they will push home very strong because a lot of those guys do have some back end speed, particularly being coming from a 1,000-meter background back when K4000 was in the field.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one as well, isn't it? Of course, we'll see, you know, as you look across the field, in the German crew, certainly in the past, of course, he's not here now, Ronald Rau, but he was better over the 500 metres than the 200 metres, and we see some of that with the Spanish paddlers as well, moving up to 500, but equally you'll have some coming down from 1,000 metres. Yeah,
and you'll get some crews that have a mix and match. You'll get some crews that are pure as 200-metre paddlers. Lithuania has got a very strong 200-metre crew. And then obviously with our Australian men, they predominantly come from that 1,000-metre background. So, and then Germany, they've got a K1000 metre world champion in there, and Tom Liebischer. Max Rensmith's won a K1000 metre silver medal at World Champs, and obviously K2000 Olympic Games. So it just depends on the athlete, depends on their capabilities and what that team needs out of that crew.
And what do you make of the Australians? Of course, we've got Westhausen and Green in there, who were the Olympic champions in the K2. What do you think they'll want to get out of this race?
It's interesting. The boys are just developing as a K4 crew. They've only done 3 or 4 sessions in the last couple of months post trials. The speed, individual speed, is there definitely. I do expect Tom and Jean's K2 500 to be very competitive, and as I do expect with this K4. But as I've mentioned with developing crews, we can't expect too much. Obviously, those boys being Olympic champions, they're going to hold themselves in high regard, and they're going to expect a lot from themselves. But speaking with Jimmy and the boys, that they do know they're a little bit rusty around the edges, particularly around the top end speed. So they're still developing on that start, moving up into that speed, but they'll push through back half of the race.
Great, that's really great to have you alongside me here, David, and get that insight into the K4 mindset and the racing and how you put together that crew. Now, let's just go through. We've got a little bit of time, but just think if we go through the lineup here, we'll see France at the back of your picture there. Guillaume Berger, Maxime Beaumont, of course, Rio 16 Olympic medalists, Kilian Koch and Guillaume de Cochemont. They're putting in all their top eggs in the basket here for their K4, so they're really keen to get a good run out in this final. Then we've got Germany will be in lane 2. Rentschmidt, Schopf, Liebscher and Lemke, all, as you've said, David, great paddlers in their own right as well as in the crew boat. Australia going 3. Westhausen brothers, Tom Green and Jackson Collins are in there, right up there in the race, and perhaps they'll be delighted they're alongside the Germans to really pace themselves against them. Then we have the Czechs, got local support, as you can see there, and that's Spisar, Slauf, Zavrel and Havel. Ukrainians, world champions of course, Kukurik, Danielenko, Trunov, Semikin. They will be in lane 5, fastest qualifiers for this final. Then we've got Spain, Craviotto. I mean, what hasn't Craviotto done? He's got 5 Olympic gold medals, this guy. Aravello, Weltz and Gemard. And then the Canadians, really good to see them paddling well here. They've got K4s in men and women who are doing well, and they're looking forward, of course, to the World Championships that they'll be hosting in Halifax later on in the season. Matviv, Poulan, Lavin and McTavish. And the Slovakians, don't discount the Slovakians, Olympic bronze medalists, 2 of these crew, and of course second at the World Championships in Copenhagen, Balaz, Zalka, Misak and Dorna. And then Lithuanians, Maldonis brothers, Navakauskas and Seya. So the speed can come from anyone here in this race. There's so little room for manoeuvre in the 500 metres. Quite, I guess, a different approach to the 1,000 metres, which was your race.
Absolutely, there very is little room for error in this event. First stroke, second stroke, third stroke, fourth stroke, they all count. And if someone is 0.1 of a second off that stroke, athletes will feel a difference, and we really do. When we come down to analysing the data of these races, we do analyse what 0.1 of a second means in that first 50 metres. We do analyse what that 0.5 of a kilometre per hour means, and what that transition through, and what that peak speed will look like, and then moving down through your stroke rate. So each crew will have their own format of racing, but they will heavily rely on data analysis to really analyse exactly how they've done it.
Indeed, they have a little, what looks like a lunchbox on the back of their boats, or inside the boats. These paddlers, which will record the data, then will analyse that later on. And in any sport, whether it be football, rugby, Olympic athletics, whatever it is, we'll have data analysts who will be looking at that and assessing it. And if you match that, and it's normally down to a good coach, isn't it, to be able to match that with feel and how individualising things for athletes, that's when you can, particularly in a crew boat or in a team event, when you can really put together the ultimate race, which I guess is what you did in 2012.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you win an Olympic gold medal, I guess you can say it's the ultimate race. But a lot of people watching my last 50 metres, and that certainly wasn't the ultimate. I had a few jerry bombs looking over to the side, watching the field, so it nearly caused a bit of chaos there. But yeah, I think anytime you win an Olympic gold medal, you got to put the ultimate race down there, whether you're racing K1, K2, or K4, or C1, C2. It's you've got to make sure you put your best foot forward in that environment.
Yeah, which is why it's so important to really test yourself under the intensity of international competition. This really is going to be intense. You can see the German crew there, as we said, little change. Jakob Schoff coming in for Ronald Rau, but I mean, Jakob Schoff, what an athlete he is. He's only going to get better and better, but in the K2, silver medal from Tokyo, but a wonderful individual paddler as well. So Germans, watch out for them in lane 2. Australians in 3. Czechs in 4. Ukraine, world champions in 5. Spanish, Olympic silver medalists, they go in 6. Then we've got Canada, Slovakia, Lithuania. Don't discount the French, who will be the top of your pitch as well. They'll be looking to get away to a quick start. And this really is going to be an exciting and interesting race, and really the first World Cup we've had for over 2 years that includes such a wide spread of nations. So it's wonderful to see. Final few moments. They know they're about to start the race in the next minute or two, so just preparing, thinking about that first stroke, thinking about how they're going to manage that start, how they're going to work in unison. There we have the French in picture there. They are in lane 1. Berger, Beaumont, Koch, de Cochemont. Germany go in 2. There they are in picture, just behind the Australians. I hope that's not the case in the race, of course. Rentschmidt, Schopf, Liebscher and Lemke. Westhuizen brothers, Green and Collins, just at the bottom of your picture there, preparing themselves calmly for the start. They go in lane 3. There they are. Lane 4, next to them will be the Czechs. They've got home support. They train on here. They've spent the winter in San Diego, as they normally do, but they know this water here well. Spisar, Slauth, Zavrel and Havel. Next to them, Ukrainian world champions. Entire Ukrainian squad, very supported by the community, canoeing community, of course, and they've been training in Romania, hosted just near Bucharest by the Romanian Canoe Federation. There's the Spanish, the Olympic silver medalists, Cravioto, Aravello, Waltz and Gemard. Canadians, Matviv, Poulin, Lavigne and McTavish. Distinctive red of Canada. Then we've got the experienced crew of Ballads, Zalka, Misak and Dorna, the Slovakians. They go in lane 8. And next to them will be the Lithuanians, Maldonis, Navakauskas and Seja. So what's the last thought in your mind before you go into the starting boot?
As we all know, in this high-performance environment, it's process, execute process of training. So you would like to think that all these crews have executed the training. That it comes to this point right now, this first stroke becomes automatic, and post that goes almost into a blur.
Yeah, subconscious takes over. Okay, right, well, they're lining up. They'll wait for the starter. When you hear that set, watch the paddles, and we'll be off. Well, they're underway there. Fairly clean start. Difficult to tell over the first few strokes of who got away well, but certainly the Germans in lane 2. 2 from the top of your picture got away to the first few strokes well, as did the 200-meter specialists of the Lithuanians in lane 9. But now it's the transition. It's building into the middle of the race, and the Spanish look strong.
Yeah, Spanish have had a very strong start comparatively to what the Germans have had. Usually, maybe they might be missing out a little bit on Ronnie Rohr, but we'll see what happens in that last 200 metres from the Germans.
Yeah, they can see the Germans in picture there. Max Rentschmidt, he is setting the pace. They're a little bit out of the race at the minute, physically over there in lane 2, but they've got to do their own race. They can see 3 lanes to their left. The Ukrainian world champions going really, really well in lane 5. We're past the middle split. We have Germany, Spain, Slovakia right up there. 200 metres to go, and it looks like in the driving seat at the moment are the Spanish.
Spanish and Ukraine. Don't discount what Ukraine has done. What they did in the semi-finals, very impressive in the back end. They do have a strong back end.
Yeah, that's really, really important. It's the strength, it's the unison. Look at that, perfect. It's like watching one paddler just working as a complete unit, the Spanish now, and they're actually putting the Ukrainians under pressure, but coming strong once again. You can see lane 9 there, that's the Lithuanians really pushing the Spaniards hard now. It looks like this is Spain's for the taking. It is indeed. What a result from them. Ukrainians, the world champions, in second place, and then possibly Lithuanians in third, but we'll have to wait for confirmation of that. A wonderful performance. They swap their Olympic silver medal for a World Cup gold.
Incredible. They're starting to make their mark. It looks like this crew has been they're staying together, sticking together. They're starting to get very much more confident. So with this, they're going to push through, and they're going to be very confident moving on to Worlds.
Yeah, they are indeed now. I don't know what you made of the start, David. I thought the Germans actually first couple of strokes did okay. Not a great start from the Australians there. That's something, again, they'll work on, I'm sure, because the first time they put themselves under this kind of pressure. But it's not really about the start, is it? As you've said rightly, that you can lose a race on the start, but you can't win it. And the boat speed, and for me, the togetherness, the harmony, the synchronicity was excellent from the Spanish in picture.
Oh, those guys, fantastic with their time and basic stuff around the time, but particularly around their angles of their blades, purchasing on that water and leveraging past that paddle. When you watch the Spanish paddle, as you can see here, they hold really good angles together, so you know the peak force of the paddles are at the same time.
Yeah, we're getting into detail there, aren't we? And really interesting. Actually, it might look like the timing's not perfect, but if they're putting the effort in the right part of the stroke, that's what's so important. Look at there, absolutely delighted. And Saul Craviotto, who's won a few medals in his time in the front of that boat there, but still delighted with a win. They knew they were under pressure, and maybe the most disappointed will be the Germans.
Look, it's absolutely, they will be disappointed. The performance around what that is, 1.6 behind the winners there. Being Olympic champions, you could only give them a bit of breathing room to take a bit of a break, and you can't expect too much winning 4 years in a row. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and it's a rebuilding time, isn't it? And let's look at the Australians, you know, 8th place down there, 2.68 behind the winners, 122. The winners were 119, so everyone's got a bit of learning to take from that. And Canadians, maybe they'll be reasonably pleased with their 6th place there. Hopefully, though, we'll see the winners. So Spain are on top, and I think you were right. They performed well in the heats and the semis, didn't they? And they did it again in the final. So maybe their goal is to kind of dominate from this point on.
Look, absolutely, with that kind of performance right now, and in that type of field, that was a very thick field, they'll be confident moving forward.
They will indeed. Just with Ross down there on the pontoon.
Boys, congratulations! What a great way to start the 2022 season. A really strong race.
Yes, it's a very strong race. We stay in a good, very strong, and the next objective is the world champions. And
do you feel even stronger than last year at the Olympics? Do you think you're getting stronger every year?
Yes, we try to do that. Yes, we think that we are in a very good shape. Here we have to make a very good performance because there was our qualification for the Worlds. We are very happy for it.
You've been together for so long now, or the 4 of you for many years, so you must be very used to paddling together.
Yes, I think that it's very easy to paddle with that partners. We are a very good sportists, and it's a very good feeling in the water.
Well, congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
Well, they have a great feeling in the water. They have a great feeling together, that Spanish crew, and I'm sure coaches will be delighted with that. They've spent their winter training in Seville and Galicia, and it's obviously gone well. They really have got it together in the K4, and it's up to the other crews to go back to the drawing board, if you like, to reset, to take the learning from that, and then to go again. And some will be going again in Poznan, but Spanish crews delighted with their result there. Ukrainians are world champions, popular silver medal winners, and Lithuanians in 3rd place. So we're looking at the men's C2. 500 meters. So we're sticking over the same distance. We're sticking with a crew boat, but this time it's the canoes. It's the C2 at 500 meters. Not an Olympic event yet. So we've got a couple of minutes before that. We've got Lithuania, Moldova, China, Spain, Poland, Spain again. 2 Italian crews next to each other, and the Germans here. We can line them up. We've got Henrikas Zostautas. He's been busy today. And alongside him, or behind him I should say, Vadim Korobov. They're in lane 1. Moldovans, Oleg and Sergei, the brothers, Tarnovskis. And next to them, there they are in picture. And next to them we have the Chinese, silver medalists from Tokyo, Liu Hao and Zheng Pengfei. And the Spanish crew, the first Spanish crew in this race in lane 4, Juan Moreno and Adrian Sierro. Then Victor Glaznov and Thomas Barniak from Poland. They go in 5. Other Spanish crew, Cayetano Garcia and Pablo Martinez. They'll be in lane 6. We'll see them in just a moment. So Polish crew just adjusting themselves, approaching the start. And there's Garcia and Martinez. Garcia, 21 years old. It's a great experience for him to be right in the midst of it in this final. Nikolai Krakin and Daniele Santini from Italy, the world champions from Copenhagen in last year. Gabriele Casade and Carlo Tacchini from Italy again. They go in 8. Watch for them. Tacchini particularly experienced, but if we're talking about experience, goodness me, the man mountain himself, Sebastian Brendel, in the front of that boat. He's done it all. So many medals, we've lost count, particularly at World Championships and World Cups, of course, and still him and Tim Hecker managed to pick up a bronze medal in Tokyo over the longer C2 1,000-meter distance. So watch out for them perhaps towards the end of this race. So good conditions for racing. We've got to remember, of course, in the canoes it's a little bit more difficult, higher centre of gravity, no rudder in there, so steering and keeping that boat running true is quite a challenge, but we've got excellent conditions for that, where the wind has calmed slightly.
Yeah, it has. It looks like it's died off a little bit, but it does look like it's blowing a little straighter behind them, so that will make the back seat of the C2, their job a little bit easier. Usually the back seat of the C2 is in charge of steering, so seeing a straighter tailwind will make them a lot more happy with what they need to do moving forward.
Yeah, and we'll see in the women's C2, some of the paddlers paddle on the same side. The men's generally, one's on the right, one's on the left. Away to the start, so important. Really powerful stroke, the canoe stroke. A lot of power going down right at the very front if they get that good lock on and drive the legs. And as we pan out, we should see who's away well. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these Italian crews was right up there. I was expecting it to be lane 8. It is lane 7 that got away to a good start there, though.
A strong start by the Italians and obviously the Spanish there as well. Speaking with the president of the Spanish Canoe Federation, they're ecstatic to see 2 crews in the C2 here. So very good to see Spain, 2 crews, and Italy with 2 crews.
Yeah, it is 2 crews and competitive as well. And this is an ever-developing category as well, isn't it? And becoming more and more intense in the 500-meter distance for the men's C2. So we'll look at the splits. We've got Spain, Italy, and China. And that was a good start from the Italians in lane 7. 200 meters to go now. Lane 4 looking good. There's a Spanish crew there. And you can see that it's all about synchronicity, moving the hips, driving the leg together, trying to lock onto that stroke and keep it long. So lane 3 moving through now. The Chinese, remember, 2nd place. The silver medal winners from Tokyo over the longer distance. But again, this Spanish next to them have got this perhaps by the scruff of the neck, although they're now being put under pressure by the other Spanish crew and the Italians in 6 and 7. Well, super close towards the end there. Looks like it's going to be a battle between Spain and Spain, China in there, and Italy.
And there was a dive of the sea boats. That was one of those times where you really needed to time that diving, so it will be interesting to see you get second and third.
It will, won't it? We have to look for that. And it's quite difficult as a paddler to know exactly where that finish line is, isn't it? And so timing that lunge to get the bow to cross the line first is a real tricky thing. We'll have to wait for the replay on that. But 2 Spanish crews right up there. They've given it. This is unofficial, this one, but they've given it to Garcia and Martinez. So that was the Spanish crew that were in lane 6. We'll just have to wait for confirmation of that. Here we go. Quick check of the start, all away pretty cleanly as we can see. Lane 4, that's the first the Spanish crew of Moreno and Sierra. Perhaps got away to the best start, but it was their teammates Garcia and Martinez who had the better back end of that race. Here we go for the lunge for the line. Ooh, yeah, that's close, isn't it? Yeah.
Very close. Italians coming in late there. Just got it.
Yeah.
Timed that perfectly. Just got over the Chinese.
Actually, they did. They've been listening to you, haven't they, David? I think on that timing that lunge, because that was absolutely perfect. And you mentioned this before. We've seen a number of times where someone lunges early and they've lost all their boat speed and they can miss out on that medal position. But a great result, actually, as you've said. The Spanish coaches will be delighted with that. Spain 1 and 2, Italy in 3rd place. Good time there, 1:37 from the winners, and we hope that we'll see that C2 just circling around towards the pontoon where they'll be with Ross Solly from the International Canoe Federation. There will be, we can see the 2 Spanish crews. They're competitors, they're rivals on the water, but they're friends off it, which is just the way it should be in major international competition. And Ross down there is chomping at the bit to try and get the interview whilst they're even still in their boats.
Boys, I'll let you get out of the boat. I'll let you get out of the boat. What a great race. Congratulations. It obviously means a lot to you to win this race.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was a so hard race. We are happy because we have a very high level in Spain. Not also our boat, even our partners, Joan Antonio and Adrian, had a very good race. So we are so happy to have that at home, because make that here in the World Champions or World Cup, we had to make a good effort and the results are so good.
And of course, this is now an Olympic event, so it's exciting for you to win here and to send an early signal.
Yes, this is very important for us because we got a main objective and we are in the good way to do it, so we won't stop until we will get it, and we are in the good way.
Congratulations, really impressive today. Well done to Spain.
Yeah, thank you very much, and we want to make a message a todos los nautiqueros.
Y a todos.
Señores, soy nautiquero desde la cuna,
Que vamos a salir campeones, no tengo duda. Con un poco más de huevo, la copa vamos a ganar. Y todos los nautiqueros vamos a
Well,
cantar.
stick to canoeing, boys.
Vamos, náuticos.
There you can see what it means to them, and in actual fact, of course, the Spanish have their selection here for the World Championships, so they're not taking their top team to next weekend's World Cup in Poland, and so the race within the race there was for the Spanish spot for the World Championships in August, Halifax, Nova Scotia, and that crew are delighted not only to win a World Cup but also to take their slot for the World Championships later on this season. Well, we'll move on to the C2 Women Final A. Now, this isn't the most competitive race because it's the 200 metres. Now, C1 is the 200-metre Olympic event, but for the C2 women, it's the 500 metres that is the Olympics, which is why this shorter distance is perhaps a little less popular. But we'll take you through the lineup nonetheless. We'll start in lane 3 with Shuai Changwen and Lin Wenyun. Then we've got Sylwia Sazobniska and Julia Walczak from Poland. And then we've got Yulia Kolesnik and Tetiana Smolovenko from the Ukraine. Next to them, they have a busy schedule. Yaroslavidis Dubois and Katerina Segura racing in the C2 500-meter final at 20 past 11. So about half an hour ago. And then Daniela Kokwi and Maria Olarasu, I should say. So 200 meters, smash and grab. If you like short distance, we've seen a lot of thousands, we've seen a lot of 500s in this, but 200 meters will be just over 40 seconds. Not much room for maneuver in that. And it'll be very important that these paddlers get away to a good start. Cubans, of course, Cubans were second. So, around half an hour ago in the C2 Women 500A final, Cubans took the silver medal. They're hoping that they can get on the podium once again in this shorter 200-meter distance.
You would certainly hope so, considering the way they did perform in the first 200, 250 of that 500. The Cubans, knowing what I've seen, they should be quite sharp in this 200, so I suspect they'll be close to taking the win. Obviously, China there, they won the C2 500, but this is a different crew here. But you can only expect, knowing the Chinese, that they will be competitive.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to a couple of the Chinese coaches just yesterday, and they're talking about their high-performance centres, which they've got one in Beijing. They've got a couple of others now, and they're trying to bring the paddlers together because they come from such far apart distances. But I suppose in some ways that's similar to Australia, given that there's certain groups in different areas of the country. It's quite hard to then bring that all together for a crew boat.
Absolutely. We're China and Australia are definitely quite broad nations in terms of where our populations do lie. Obviously, the Chinese, they're definitely pushing hard with what they do with sport. So the funding there, they are working very hard in terms of their performances in high-performance sport, particularly in the way they look for coaches internationally. Obviously, same thing with Australia. We work hard with our state-based programs and then start to centralise in the national federation style things.
Yeah, it's interesting with China as well that their high-performance centres aren't just for canoeing, so they've got high-performance centres where a mix of athletes that are taking part in various sports are learning from each other, and there's a bit of crossover there between whether it's data analysts, physios, coaches and so on, and that seems to be benefiting them in a number of sports.
They're certainly showing in the Seaboat arena right now.
They are indeed. Well, this should be an interesting race. So have the Cubans recovered from their antics picking up the silver medal in the longer distance, especially given that they are so good over this short distance, so we'll have to watch out for them. Might be a bit rock and rolling, but they're certainly very, very powerful. So here, see from the drone shot overhead, they're the short, choppy strokes of the Cubans, the boat bobbing up and down, getting away well, and also the bottom of your picture there, that is the Moldovans as well. Got a similar start to the Cubans. This is where you put the strength into the stroke, you get right up to that racing speed, and now you have to maintain it right the way through this 200 metres.
As we expected, Cubans and China's taken it to the line. Cubans definitely had the better of the start, so we'll see what happens in the back end.
Oh dear, yeah, you can see the wash coming off the Cubans. That's really affected the Ukrainians, really struggling just to keep it together there. They're out of this one. So Cuba, China looking strong over the latter part of the race, and then Moldova in third. Well, delighted with that. Silver medal earlier, about half an hour ago. Gold medal now. Really exciting paddlers, these two. Very, very powerful, young as well, and we're going to see a lot more of them in the future. Great for canoeing that different nations right the way across the world are picking up medals in World Cups, World Championships and Olympic Games.
Yeah, certainly. It'd be very interesting to see what happens moving forward, particularly with the Cubans and then the Canadians and the Pan Americans continental qualifying for the Olympic Games. Obviously, for most don't know, there are certain number of spots for each event moving into the Olympic Games, so it could be an opportunity there for the Cubans to take advantage and take on the Canadians. So it'll be very interesting to see who comes out on top in this C2 arena.
Yeah, it's interesting that, isn't it? And, you know, the Canadians have got Andreas Dittmar, of course, helping with their coaching, former Olympic champion himself from Germany, so they've got a good setup and some developing young paddlers, but as have the Cubans. And hopefully they'll have a word on the pontoon with Ross very shortly.
been a very busy morning for the girls from Cuba. Silver medal, now gold medal.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How hard was it to do 2 races this morning?
Bueno, para mí es muy emocionante porque este resultado lo mejoramos con respecto al mundial del año pasado y estamos mucho más que contentas. Y bueno, este resultado se lo dedicamos primero a Dios, que gracias a Él lo tuvimos. Después a toda mi familia, a mi novio, mi madre, todos, y a mi pueblo de Cuba.
Congratulations, well done.
Gracias.
Well, I apologise. I can't translate all that, but you can see from the body language and the looks on their faces how delighted they were. And 42.06, David, that's a quick time.
Very quick. Just missed out on the world's best time. So that obviously shows the standard that they are paddling at, but also what the conditions are giving us today. So definitely that tailwind has swung and will give us very fast time for this K1 500 men coming up.
It will indeed, yeah. And actually, in fact, we talked about the wind dying down, but it seems to be blowing again. We can see from our position in the finish tower, seems to be getting a little bit stronger, and it does make for fast times, but also it makes a real challenge to latch on to that stroke, to keep on top of the stroke, to keep on top of the stroke rate. We're just keeping on top of things here for you watching. We should see, hopefully, the medal ceremony of the K4 men before we see the K1 women 500 metre final, but we'll update you on that. And hopefully that'll be coming very, very shortly. So we've got K1 women 500 metre final, K1 men 500 metre final coming up soon. K1 women 500 metre final also, but we should see the medal ceremony for the men's K4 coming up very shortly. In fact, here we are. So this was one of the races of the World Cup.
Interesting to see. Marcus Waltz in K1 500 coming up in 10 minutes' time, if he will be on this podium.
Good point. Yeah. You know, he's a really short turnaround like we saw in the Cubans in the C2. Doesn't look like he's there.
Quickly out of the boat, straight into the K1, warm down and get ready for that K1 500 final.
And of course, this is where the organisers will be thinking ahead to World Championships and Olympic Games, so they can design the programme so it suits and works for these athletes, some of which that double up. And you can see in the centre of the podium the Spanish crew who are the gold medal winners. There's only 3 of them there because Marcus Waltz is getting ready for his individual event. So we'll see the bronze medalists here. There we go, men's K4 500 metres. Lithuania, Maldonis, Navakauskas and Seja.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the bronze medalists are Simonas Maldonis, Mindaugas Maldonis, Ignas Navakauskas, and Artur Seja, Lithuania.
Impressive performance by these boys. Interesting to see where the Lithuanians are going. As you can see, there's 2 K1 200 metre paddler specialists in there, so they're clearly moving away from that K1 200, which was an Olympic distance, and moving to that K4 500. And obviously with this performance, it's paying off. So these boys will develop, and expect them to be very competitive moving forward.
Yeah, going towards qualification across the Olympic Games. The only qualification will be at the World Championships in 2023. They'll be hoping to obtain that. We can see Toshi Furuya representing the ICF. He's the new Canoe Sprint Committee Chairman. Doing a fine job here at the first World Cup. Also helped to organise the Tokyo event. And very popular silver medal winners, that is the Ukrainians. The world champions, now they've got a silver medal from the World Cup.
Impressive performance considering circumstances, showing the world what they can do under pressure in a variety of forms. Well done.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic and very popular medal winners. But gold medal winners, a lot expected of them, a lot expected of themselves, and they delivered that. So, no Marcus Waltz, he's preparing himself for the K1, but here receiving their medals, we've got Sol Craviotto. We'll see him in just a second. There he is. And Carlos Arevalo and Rodrigo Guimard.
First time we haven't seen the Germans on a podium in a K4 final in a long time. This is very interesting fact, and do not discount them. They will reassess and come back stronger.
Indeed, I'm sure Thomas Konechko, the new chair of the International Canoe Federation, will be hoping that they do, and I'm sure that they will. And we should hear very shortly the medal ceremony. We should have the national anthem of Spain.
Congratulations to your medalists.
Well, no national anthems, they're keeping it short. Lovely to see the athletes congratulating each other, I should say. And wonderful to see the Ukrainians pick up a medal, the world champions, of course. It's been a very, very difficult time for them. And just for them to be here is a wonderful achievement, but for them to pick up a medal really is incredible. And thanks to the canoeing community for supporting them, but also particularly, of course, to the Romanians who welcomed them with open arms and allowed them to train in their training centre just near Bucharest, and it's working for them. So it's such a family community canoeing, and it's wonderful to see different nations supporting each other in very, very challenging times. Well, we'll move on. We've got the men's K1 500 metres coming up here. There you can see the details, and world champions, world record holders, and this should be an interesting race, this one, because K1 men 500 metres, it's not Olympic, but the 500 metre distance, so important now for those Olympic spots in crew boats.
Absolutely. You'll certainly see a lot of countries putting in some of their athletes to really put themselves in that position to race the race, be part of that training, develop their race plan around that distance. So it certainly will be playing a bigger part, considering what K2 500 and K4 500 being in the Olympic distance now.
Indeed. Well, there's Noah Havard in lane one, the Australian. Just take you through the lineup now. We've got a couple of minutes until we start, but we should see circling around Jonas Dreger, the German. He will be in lane two. Benche Nadas looked good yesterday. He's in lane three. There you can see the German. Now that is Jonas Dreger. And German, such great form in this event. Tom Liebscher, of course, who we saw in the K4. I mean, he is a fantastic exponent of the 500 metres in his K1. Really can put on the afterburners when he needs to. And we'll see in a minute the Hungarian. We should see the Hungarian very shortly. Benche Nadas, who was fourth in the K2000 metres in Tokyo. And World Cup, he had a gold medal in the K1 500 last year. World Cups last year were a bit strange, of course, because no Australians, no New Zealanders, because of the pandemic, different approaches to being able to get out there and different restrictions in place. So this really is a better reflection of the competition here in Racice.
Yes, definitely difficult circumstances for everyone involved, and obviously you never know what type of training environment people are dealing with in their own local environment. So certainly those performances are always flip of the coin, what's happening and what kind of form people are in, but not moving through now. Everyone here is putting their best foot forward, knowing that we all settled down and dealing with what COVID has presented us.
Yeah, and interesting, athletes being athletes, of course, and coaches like yourself will be probably looking at, well, actually, was there any advantage? Did we get anything from it? Were we perhaps able to stay within our own country where we feel most comfortable and to crack on with training, or do we need to go on those training camps?
Absolutely, and certainly when it came to the Olympic Games, certain countries had some disadvantages and advantages just due to the nature of what COVID presented. Moving forward for Australia, Australia dealt with COVID for us living internally in Australia. It was done well for us, so we did have the advantage to train without too many restrictions. Unfortunately, a lot of the European nations had to fight the battle with governments and what COVID presented.
Yeah, it's everyone experiencing something different. Right, we've got Noah Havard there, the Australian. We'll perhaps come back to him in a little while. Should get the official lineup now. Yes, there we are. And Dreger, the German, as we said, in lane two. Never discount a German in this, or indeed any event in sprint canoe, of course. Benche Nadas, the Hungarian, has had some success in K2s over the longer distance, but also this perhaps his favoured event in the very distinctive kayak there. And another German, Jakob Thorsden, will be in lane 4. There he is. And Mateus Otero, Uruguayan, paddled really, really well yesterday in his semi-final. Looked super strong. I must admit, I thought he'd gone out a little bit too hard, but he seemed to hold on to it well. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on with the added pressure of being in the final. Christian Coetzee from South Africa goes in lane 6. He made the final of the World Championships last year. Magnus Sibersen, the Dane, in 7. Bram Sikkens from Belgium, small but developing squad, the Belgians. And then Marcus Weltz just hopped out of the winning crew in the K4, but the Olympic champion over 1,000 metres from 2016, well, he's got the experience, he's got the strength. Watch out for him from lane 9.
He certainly does have the know-how in terms of winning a race.
So, well, 100 seconds, maybe under that, depending on the conditions for this start. Important. They're away well. 3 up from the bottom of the picture, the Dane. And that really distinctive kite there. Latched on. There he is. Look at that. Great design. But latched on that first stroke, didn't he? Very, very well. But this is so much more than just the first stroke. This is where they're building the strength into that race, and they're racing for a position here in this K1 500 metres, but maybe they're also racing for a crew boat spot going forward.
They all certainly are, but every race counts, and obviously you can see what Christian Coetzee is doing. He's moving hard. He always pushes hard that first 100 to 300, so he'll be really challenging himself moving through there. Looks like Marcus Weltz is just holding on. Maybe that K4 took a little bit out of him.
Yeah, I mean, we're only halfway through as well. I guess he'll know if he's a little bit tired, he'd be better pacing it and hoping that it comes through well, and that some perhaps have overcooked it early on. You can see Hungarian, I think that's Benche Nadas there with a better split time. Lane 3 and lane 4 going well. That's Benche Nadas. And also the German that's in lane 4 is Jakob Thorsten. And Nadas looking really, really strong and focused at the moment, holding it together well.
He's paddling very well. Once again, he is very strong out the first 200, 250, 300. It looks like he's just tightening up a bit. You can see his head and his shoulders just cramping up a little bit. German moving through on him. Can Marcus Weltz on this far side come through?
Yeah, well, I think he was listening to you there. He's coming through. We've got to watch that. Very dangerous. Got to watch that on the picture. He is coming through, but you can see the German Thorsten. Well, is he the strongest? Marcus Weltz has got a chance there. He's got a lunge for this line. Oh, and the Danish paddler coming through well as well. I must admit, I can't confirm the places there. Certainly looked like the German in lane 4. Jakob Thorsten took the win, but we had a late charge from Magnus Sibersen, the Danish paddler there, as well as, of course, you mentioned, Marcus Weltz coming good over the last 100 metres.
Of course, but I think first place is just sure, and that's thanks to...
Well, now if we don't see the result come up on screen, and we don't, this means that it is a photo. So I'll have a photograph probably for second and third place there. It could be less than a few hundredths separating them. That's why pacing this race is so important.
Absolutely, very tight race. 6 guys really close across the line. That's what really gets the heart beating for us coaches on the other side. It really does.
I bet it does, right. Well, there you go. Well, no doubt about the winner, but second place is going to be tricky. Denmark and Germany, maybe. We also had in there the Hungarian Nadas, didn't we? He looked strong, as you said. He's good over that first half, maybe beginning to fade a little bit. Right, good win from the German. No doubt about that. I'm going to go for Denmark and Spain, but, well, we'll have to wait.
That's a really impressive performance by the German there. I mean, knowing who's in that K4 in front of him, he's going to be really pushing hard to try and put his name into that very competitive K4. Seeing the result that K4 did get today, he'll be putting his hand up.
Yeah, he will indeed. Yeah, good point. I'm sure the coaches will be watching that very, very carefully. So, really good result, and the timing, not only of his race, but the timing of this relative to the K4 race as well, just puts his name out there.
Absolutely. Always impressive to see what the Germans have in their depth.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? They've got great coaching, great clubs, and a great system that works well for them. Hopefully we might well see Ross just give him an interview when he's had a a little drink of water, and a word perhaps for Marcus Waltz coming through late as he did to take bronze medal. He's obviously in good shape.
Absolutely. To be able to do what he did, 10, 15 minutes gap between those performances. Obviously, you can see in the first half of the race where probably just that little bit of lactate just stunned his first 250, but moving forward through the back end, you can see his experience just being able to hold his nerve under pressure and push through.
Indeed, well.
Jakob, congratulations. Well done, a really tough race today.
Thank you very much. Yes, it was really hard because coming from the 1,000 on the 500 and the wind from behind, it's a really fast race and it's difficult. It's important to find the perfect start, and today was really good.
What does this race mean for you? Because Germany has a strong K4 500. What is it for you?
I don't know, it's complicated in Germany. We've got two Germans in the final, and it's a selection in Germany, so I'm happy that I made it, and let's see what comes next.
Congratulations, Jakob. Good win. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Well, diplomatic answer there from Jakob Thorsden. All he can do is his job on the water, isn't it? And he gave his best there, and he beat his teammate, he won the race, and he'll let the selectors do all the rest.
Absolutely. That's all you can do. Win those races, put your name forward. That's all you can ask for.
Indeed. Keep it simple. That's the important thing for the athletes. And I think it's only when you become a coach you realise how political and how difficult it is, the job of coaching. I won't ask you on the detail. Now then, we're looking forward to K1 men 500 metres, of course. Final A. I've just spotted a name down there, Lisa Carrington. I suspect she might do pretty well.
You would hope so. Based off the form that she's had in a number of years, you would assume that she'll be a very difficult one to beat. But in all seriousness, you would almost be saying the way she's going, living legend, the way she is, and looking at the way she's paddling and the way she's developing as she moves on into later stages of her career. It's just incredible to see. In some races the gap widens, which is terrifying for some of the girls competing against her. But obviously she will set the standard in this race. I could be proven wrong, never know, but she'll be certainly taking it out from the start.
And yeah, that's the interesting thing about her, isn't it? That you know, she's vastly experienced now from being a 23-year-old, you know, not sure what she would do in London 2012 now to having sort of swept all before her. And yet, in some ways, she's still getting better. Perhaps not in the basic physical sense, but in the way she races and the way she mentally approaches things, in her resilience, which she's had to show, of course, at the selection, where it was all 3 races between her and Amy Fisher. And so, and that's what really matters in these high-pressure situations.
Absolutely. And it comes with maturity as an athlete. The more you race, the more you train, the more you understand yourself, the more you can get out of yourself. And I think that's a scary thing for a lot of these girls. Lisa just understands what she needs to get the most out of herself. And knowing the talent and skill set that she's got, she's just going to keep getting better and better with how she goes. The only thing that can stop her is herself at this point in time.
Yeah, and I think she knows that. She's worked a lot, hasn't she? I remember listening to David Galbraith, a psychologist, talking about her and how her attitude's changed over time. She's so professional, and it's about getting the best out of herself and walking towards the pressure and enjoying those big occasions. Well, we'll just take you through the lineup there. We did see Lisa Carrington. She goes in lane 6. It isn't hers, and she'll know that. There will be other people who will look to put her under pressure, not least the young Alida Gazko, of course. A lot expected of her in the future. She's only 22 years old. But we'll start with Isabela Contreras from Spain in lane 1, Martina Klatt from Poland in 2, Teresa Portella from Portugal in 3, Anja Osterman, who's been going well. A little bit of a surprise for her, given that she had a long time off after Tokyo. She'll be in 4. Jules Hake from Germany in 5. Lisa Carrington, as we said, goes in 6. Yin Mengdi from China in 7. Alida Gazko from Hungary in 8. And Justina Izrika, who was a medalist from Tokyo in the K4, the Polish athlete, goes in 9. Now, traditionally, it's 500 metres, but Lisa Carrington can be blisteringly quick over the first 150 metres or so.
She certainly does make an effort to really stamp her authority on the race. So just watch her post 50 metres, she'll really accelerate out.
Yeah, and it's not the first few strokes, is it? That's the thing with Lisa Carrington. It's building into that. At this stage where she's coming to now, that's where she normally stretches ahead. Oh, goodness me, she's done that already of the rest of the field.
Yeah, here she is. This is the strength of her stroke right now. At that higher rate, she has incredible leverage, really high strength to weight ratio. So when she hits that top speed, she can really do it far more efficiently than most girls.
Yeah, and you can see she's trying to maintain control. This is very upright in her boat, keeps that stroke rate moving. She does have a high stroke. And what we can see now is actually Anja Osterman, the very experienced Slovenian, who's changed a few things around this season, spent a lot of time training with the Slovakians and been out in South Africa, in California, I should say, over the winter, and sort of pleasantly surprised in how well she's going at this moment in time.
She's paddling incredibly strong. Seeing her performances in heat and semi, she can very much take the challenge onto Lisa. So we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, look,
she's in front, nearly. It's close.
It's very close. This is exciting, isn't it? So here we go, Lisa Carrington. People are asking the questions of you. Have you got the answers? This is why she's here. She wants to test herself at the very top level. She's done it numerous times before. Normally she ends up with the gold medal, but Anja Osterman has something else to say about that. But has she got something else in the tank? Because probably Lisa Carrington has. She's into the red boys now. It's very difficult to tell from this camera angle, but as it pans out, we can see Lisa Carrington has the lead now. Anja Osterman's beginning to tighten up. Lisa will know. Over to her left, the Hungarian, the young Hungarian, Alida Gajko, who's very, very endurant, is coming for her, but no, Lisa Carrington has the answers. Goodness me, oh my word, that is a huge margin.
That was an incredibly fast time too, so interesting to see what the official time comes back as. I was a little concerned with 200 metres ago that I might have put the commentator's mocker on her, but she came through with that last 200 brilliantly.
Yeah, incredible, really, because she appeared to me certainly to go out very, very hard. And they were all asking questions of her, and then she just answered them all. She swept them aside and just began to pull away from the rest of the field, and it looked easy.
Very interesting to see the girls a little bit closer to her than what we're used to seeing. Maybe she might be formulating a different race plan to strengthen that back end, because she certainly did spread out. Like 200 metres ago, it was close. It was right next to each other. And then that last 200, to put a boat length on your competitor, that's a very impressive push home.
It is indeed, yeah, not an easy thing to do. Look at that. That's a big margin over 500 metres over a real quality field. I mean, a word, there we go. Anja Osterman takes the second place for her, and also the very experienced Teresa Portela, 35-year-old from Portugal, picks up another international medal. A good result for her. Well, she's a great exponent of the sport, Lisa Carrington. 1:47, that's a quick time as well. You know, that's decent. I mean, they've been faster. I'm sure she's been faster before, but shows the good conditions, shows the sort of shape she's in, and she'll have learned from that. And that's the amazing thing from Lisa Carrington. Every time she goes out there in a boat, she's expected to take some learning from it. And I'm sure that she will come down here and have a word with Ross. And it'll be interesting to see, you know, what she makes and what her summary is of this event.
She certainly has a tough road to get here. 3 race-offs in very difficult conditions. In that situation, you know she's race ready, particularly against someone like Amy Fisher, who was really raring to go to try and take the fight to her. To come out on top the way she did, and you know she's in good form coming here.
Well, let's see what she has to say with Ross.
Dame Lisa, congratulations. Nice to know you've still got it.
Yeah, it was, I mean, the quality of the field is really good, so it's so nice to be able to race such quality.
I mean, you've achieved everything there is to achieve in this sport. How hard has it been for you to get back in there this year and to get back out there?
No, I wouldn't say I've achieved everything. I mean, Tokyo was a really big event, and then just kind of, I took a bit of a break because, a couple months, and then just trying to build towards Paris. So I guess I always just got to keep that long-term goal in mind. And so the season seems to be going good. I had some really good races in New Zealand a few weeks ago.
Some tough races.
Yeah, some really tough races, which got me my A into G. And yeah, so it's nice to finally be back in Europe three years since I've raced a World Cup, and the nerves still feel the same.
And Lisa, one less event for you this Olympic cycle. Is that going to make it easier for you, do you think? And was that important in your decision to how you focus on Paris?
Yeah, like, I mean, still really disappointed that the 200's not in there, and but I think for me it's just making sure that, you know, those skills that I learned from the 200 kind of stay in my paddling in the K2, K4, K1 500. But yeah, I mean, there's potentially opportunity in it, but I think it's just exciting to kind of be adaptable.
Well, congratulations, Dame Lisa. Well done. Enjoyed the season.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Well, she's great value for an interview as well, Lisa Carrington, and interesting that that race she had with Amy Fisher, those 3 races, maybe, as you said, David, really set her up well to be put under that kind of pressure. She lost the first race, didn't she? And you know, that helped in this situation.
Absolutely. I mean, as Lisa said, she did have a bit of time off. She got married, so and any athlete who's had the success that they have had for such a long period of time and winning Olympic gold medals, they're going to want to take that little bit of a mental breather. And I'll tell you what, Amy Fisher took advantage and took the fight to her. But Lisa fought back over the 3 events, and I watched the races myself, and they were 3 incredible races. So well done to both girls, and congratulations to Lisa to move forward and take the win here.
Yeah, seems to me as an outsider that it's a shame that Amy Fisher's not here or in the squad. But anyway, that's something that we need probably a little bit longer to discuss. And we're moving on now to the final of the C1 men's. I'm particularly looking forward to, of course, seeing Isaquias dos Santos right in the middle of the picture of the lake, I should say, in the middle lane, lane 5, the Tokyo Olympic champion, but he already had 3 medals from the Rio Olympic Games. So we'll just look at, we've got lane 1 here now. That's Oleg Tarnovsky. Paddled the C2 with his brother Sergei, but he's in the individual event here. Angel Godinov from Bulgaria goes in lane 2. There he is in picture. And then next to him we'll have Pavlo Altukov. And Pavlo is a soldier. That's significant because he's Ukrainian, and he's been a really great representative of the Ukrainian team, talking about the difficulties that his family have been having. He's been on the phone to them every day to check they're safe. He spent a lot of time himself in Kiev, and he has represented the Ukrainians so well, and so thankful to the canoeing community as well as the Romanians for helping them out. There we can see in picture lane 5 Isaquias dos Santos, a real legend of the sport, the Brazilian. We should have Martin Fuchser, of course, in lane 4 on home water. Former world champion from 2017 it was, back here on this very lake. And 500 metres is his favourite distance. So watch out for Martin Fuchser. Paddling here quite a lot with his brother Petter as well. Petter didn't make the final in this case, but expect Martin to go well. There he is in the white cap. Isaquias dos Santos, what a life he's had. Burnt with boiling water as a youngster, lost a kidney falling out of a tree a little bit later on, and then of course picking up so many Olympic medals in 2016 when the Olympics was on his home water, and then being Olympic champion in Tokyo. Catalin Chirila, the Romanian, experienced Romanian, goes in 6. Ji Bowen from China in picture there in 7. Daniel Fayes from Hungary goes in 8, and Li Zhehui from China in 9. So, boats are ready to go, paddlers are ready, starters ready. The final of the men's 500 metres C1. Oh, and a difficult start there. I think they might restart them, circle round. Indeed they do, and a pretty obvious false start from the Chinese paddler there.
Little too eager, just a touch. I mean, maybe that tailwind pushing them into the gate just threw him off a little bit, but yeah, unfortunately, pressure's on him now.
It is, yeah, and you don't get any benefit from that, from actually paddling early, do you? That pushes you back.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there are some gates that might be a bit weaker, but in these current gates that they've got right now, they are rock solid. You start early, you're going to get pushed back without a doubt.
So yeah, he's going to have to be a little bit careful now. And you know, we talk about the experience of someone like Lisa Carrington. She'll have been in this situation before, and this is where experience counts, isn't it? We've seen Marcus Weltz pick up a medal even though he was tired from the K4. We've seen Lisa Carrington being put under pressure and deliver, and now we have the situation. Maybe some of the athletes weren't expecting of a false start. They have to loop round again. They have to prepare once again.
And it absolutely happens, and it actually happened with us in the 2012 K4000 final. A break, you just got to circle around, reset, focus on the process again. It's very easy to be thrown off in such a situation. I think if you look at what happened there with the Hungarian, he's probably thankful that it was a false start. He was on an angle, but yeah, you just got to reset, refocus on what the process will be.
Yeah, and that's sport, elite sport. In any sport is all about the process, isn't it? Concentrate on the steps. Don't worry about getting to the top of the stairs. Just concentrate on each step that's in front of you, and that's what the athletes will be having to do now. They're doing a big circle round, I must say. They're giving them plenty of time. And just thinking about Martin Fuchser, he wants to know if this is going to be his year. He's won so many medals, and he's seen the likes of Sebastian Brendel in the C1 event come and go, but of course he's still got the likes of Dos Santos here and one or two of the others to compete against him. But he's got all the skills, he's got the experience, he's on his home water, so he'll be hoping that he can perhaps put Dos Santos under pressure.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, home field advantage, and he does have the world's best time over this distance, European best time, and he's the European champion. So he should be feeling quite confident in what he has to offer in this race, knowing full well the Brazilian next to him will throw everything he's got at him, but you would hope that he pulls out on top in front of his home crowd.
Yeah, amazing, really. Yeah, you know, European champion, as you said, world's best time as well, and so good over this distance. But you know, Dos Santos doesn't race as often, and so it's hard for him actually when he does, and he comes over to Europe. But he seems to produce the goods when it's asked of him.
Watching what he did in Rio was incredible. Under pressure and the expectation of what the performances were, it was just insane what he did. And then moving on to Tokyo, there's a long story around his performance at the Tokyo C1 and how he won, and it's an incredible backstory. And if anyone in the sport was to understand what he went through and how he got to the gold medal, incredible and a lot of emotions. So to see what he did and how he did it, he's an impressive athlete. So knowing the two, Fuchser and as a KS, it's going to be a very interesting race, an exciting race.
Yeah, well, he's quite a character, isn't he? Quite a character. Wonderful to have him in the sport. We're very lucky to have Ezequias Dos Santos, and let's see what he's got here in this final, the C1 men 500 meters. So, Moldova, Bulgaria, Ukraine, Czech Republic, Brazil, Romania, China, Hungary, and China. Back into the start. Got the white flag. Let's hope we get away cleanly this time round. Well, started not hanging around there, letting them go pretty quickly, and this is where they'll be accelerating up to that racing speed. Best of the start, perhaps at the moment, would be lane 4, Martin Fuchser. That's not a surprise. He's very comfortable here on his home water. He's in good shape, he knows that, and he wants the win.
It looks like the two are starting to spread out. Fuchser's definitely taking the challenge on. He wants to set it up from the word go.
Yeah, that's a good shot, isn't it? There from behind, there you can see the strokes. Maybe, I was going to say, slightly higher stroke rate from Fuchser, but actually perhaps about the same. Ezequias Dos Santos, a quick stroke rater as well. Very, very powerful, kind of almost choppy stroke, but he's right up there. In fact, these two going head-to-head, toe-to-toe at the moment.
Yes, certainly stroke for stroke right now. Moving through the 250, moving on to the last 200. Right now, they'll be just resetting in their mind, getting ready for the last push home.
Yeah, they will be racing as they are right now in the strokes with 200 meters to go, but they'll be half a mind on when it's going to really push, when they're going to make their move. You can see Dos Santos there, he's gritting his teeth, but don't let you think that he's failing. He's pushing on, he's asking more and more of himself as he goes. We can see lane 6 there, that's a Romanian, Catalina Cirila. He's trying to put them under pressure, but these two are pulling away from the rest of the field now. Has Fuchs just got the edge at the moment? Now here comes Dos Santos. It's going to be the final few strokes, the last 50 metres to go. Very difficult to see. We need that camera to pan out. There we go. And it looks like Fuchs has it at the moment, but he's beginning to slow his stroke rate. Dos Santos gets a sense of this. It'll all be on the lunge for the line. There it is. Fuchs gets it ahead of Dos Santos, and the Romanian a little way back in 3rd place.
Great race. Exactly what we want to be seeing in the 500 distance. Different changes of leads. Fantastic effort, boys. Well done.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, and Fuchs, we've seen him do that before, actually, and then struggle to hold on, particularly in the 1,000 metres. But there, he just paced it right, didn't he? Perhaps had that enough in reserve to push again when he's put under pressure towards the end, and held his stroke together so well. Such a technical event. The canoe, you can see from the start there, looked like actually on the first stroke, Fuchs had got away well, and perhaps Dos Santos just lacking a little bit over the first couple of strokes.
I suspect Fuchs wanted to really put it out that first 150, set it up, and then put the field under pressure, and then just come off the pressure to get ready for his last push home. He really certainly did have a strong last 200, so maybe through that midsection there, he comes off the pressure, gets himself ready for his last push.
Wow, I mean, that was, just looking, we should get confirmation of that. Pretty quick times. We're getting very, very close to a world best time, David, aren't we? We're just checking that. I think, is it just outside?
Just outside, 0.3 of a second it looks like it. So it is fast conditions out there, but just because it's fast conditions doesn't mean these guys aren't in form. So you have to be on point to be getting those fast times.
You do indeed, and certainly on point was Martin Fuchs there. Delighted with that, to do that at Racice on his home water. Looking forward to the season ahead. We may well see him in Poznan next weekend. You'll be able to join me and Planet Canoe for that. Martin Fuchs at 1:43.92. That is a fast time. Ezequiel Dos Santos 1:44, and Catalin Chirilla just a little bit behind that in a 1:45. And it's Ji Bowen, the Chinese paddler, who misses out this time on the medals. So talking of medals, we should be, in a minute, we'll have the C2 Women 200-metre medal ceremony, but hopefully, first of all, we might get a word with the crowd's favourite, Martin Fuchs. He's down on the pontoon with Ross.
Martin, congratulations. It must be so good to win here at home in Racice.
Yes, thank you. My first race this year, and I win before the home crowd, so it's perfect for me. I'm very glad. It was a nice fight with Olympic champs, so I'm really happy.
You like the 500-metre race, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. I like 500 meters. It was a good race. I'm really happy now that I can do my best before Czech crowd.
Well, congratulations. Good luck in the 1,000.
Děkuji.
Thanks, Martin. Well done, man.
Great to see him. He's obviously in good form. First race of the season, being able to take a win like that, being put under pressure by the Olympic champion, that he'll take real confidence going into his training throughout the rest of the season. And these two paddlers know each other so well, don't they? They've raced each other many, many times before. Perhaps missing Konrad Scheibner, the German, who's getting better and better with every season. So we may well see him battle against these two in the C1 in Poznan. Probably we'll see that at the World Championships later on in the season. We'll see very shortly the medal ceremony of the women's C2 200 metres.
Ladies and gentlemen, we present the medalist for the women's canoe.
There we go. Okay, so third place, Daniela Kokui and Maria Olarasu.
ICF Technical Director.
And we'll have Martin Marinov, the Technical Director of the International Canoe Federation, will be dishing out the medals. So just Daniel Kochu here to pick up the medal for Moldova. Sorry, that's not Danielle Kokui. It's actually Maria Olarasu, because Daniela Kokui will be taking part in the C1 1,000 meters in about 6 minutes' time. Shuai Chang Wen and Lin Wen Yun in the silver medal position. And gold medal going to the Cubans, as we've spoken about before. These young crew, very good over the short distance, the 200 meters. Yarislaides Dubois and Catherine Segura.
Yarislaides Dubois with Catherine Segura, Cuba.
So they are World Cup champions. I'm sure we'll see them on the podium in future events as the international season rolls on towards the World Championships in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and for the European paddlers here, the European Championships, which will be in Munich towards the end of August. Well, we've just got 2 more races, and these are the 1,000 meter distance, which was your distance, David, when you won that Olympic gold medal at Eton Dorney in London 2012. And we'll have the C1 women and the K1 men over 1,000 meters.
Yes, very exciting for me personally, seeing the 1,000 meters. Disappointing always, well, certainly disappointing to see the K2000 be removed from the Olympic distance, and seeing the way Tom and Jean won that gold medal last year was should just show the value of what that distance has. But you know, there's 3 distances here on the course, and everyone vies for their distance that they prefer, and everyone fights for it. But it's up to the ICF to see where they see the true value for the sport. But C1000 women and the K1000 men to finish it off, that would be a really exciting race, particularly with these conditions. Let's hope it holds up and we'll have a really fast race.
Yeah, good conditions, quick racing. We're seeing 2 quite different races here, I think, aren't we? Women's C1000 meters, it's non-Olympic. The women's C1 has been developing, given that they knew it would enter into the Olympics in Tokyo. So over the longer distance, perhaps not quite as competitive, whereas in the K1 men 1,000 meters, you can go back a long way, you know, from some of the greats of history, the likes of Knut Holmen and 1 or 2 others, likes of Greg Barton as well, way back in time. And you know, that's always competitive, but perhaps this event here we have before us is a developing event.
Yeah, I think a lot of countries will bring their athletes here to take advantage of the races they have. I think the ICF does a really good job in creating opportunities for, particularly for seaboat women, to get races, even though they're non-Olympic events. It's really important to get these girls out in the boat racing in this high-performance environment.
That's right. Well, here's a high-performance paddler herself, Olympic medalist Ludmila Lutzan. She's already been busy this morning. We've seen her already in action in the C2, but she's doing the C1000 meters this time. We've got Li. It will be in lane 2. Annika Losk from Germany goes in 3. Anna Palmer, I should say. She'll be alongside her, going in lane 4. Great development opportunity for Anna from Longridge. Good over the longer distances. Anna looked to be in good form yesterday, enjoying her World Cup experience. Martina Malikova from the Czech Republic is in 5. There's Ludmila Babak. Another Ukrainian goes in 6. And then we should see Maria Mayard. Very experienced Chilean paddler. She had a good race at the Super Cup last year at the end of the season. She should be in 7. We'll just wait to see her as we look at Ludmila Babak. There's Maillard from Chile. Next to her, Daniela Koku from Moldova. Just missed out on the medal ceremony. She'll pick up a bronze medal later from the women's C2 200, but her choosing to race in this the longer distance. And then Magda Stani, experienced Polish paddler there, goes in lane 9.
dare say these girls will be very thankful that that tailwind has straightened out. It'd be very difficult. It was still that strong cross, doing 1,000 metres over this full distance. So knowing that straight tail will just make their lives a bit easier over this longer distance.
Yeah, a little bit quicker, isn't it? And a consistent breeze as well, which is nice. So it's fair for the paddlers. They're underway already. This is the final of the C1 Women 1,000 metres, a non-Olympic event, but good to see on the international stage, a full race here. And as you've said, over 1,000 metres. It's a long race, this one. And this will be about pacing, about finding their rhythm, about really trying to get into that rhythm that they can just keep the stroke long, they can feel that boat glide and let it glide and not force the pace and then have something later on.
Oh, absolutely. Pacing and efficiency over the 1,000 metres is critical. Knowing what the tailwind has to offer these girls, they'll be certainly working on that strong catch acceleration phase. Post that exit on the blade, they'll be just looking to run that boat, maximising that tailwind just to push them along a little bit more.
Yeah. Lee saw in the picture, but this is all about at the moment. Lane 7, Maria Maillard, very experienced Chilean paddler. She's gone out hard, she's got away well. Ludmila Lutzan, we don't normally see her, she's right on the far right of your screen. Just missed out on the medals in the C2 500 metres, but we don't normally see her over 1,000, but she's obviously keen to race. It's wonderful that she is racing, and well, she's doing well at the moment. Right alongside her is Li from China, so those two can have their little battle amongst themselves, but they will be aware that over the far side of the course in lane 7, Maria Maillard is setting the pace.
Yeah, certainly over these distances, it's really quite hard to predict performances on these developing events. C1000, you never know where they are in their terms of their training, whether they are focusing on the shorter type of training or a little bit more aerobic based. So for us, watching this could come as a bit of a surprise where the performances come, particularly based on the lane designation.
Indeed. Well, will they look to put Maillard under pressure as she approaches the halfway point? Will I get a quick look at the splits? A little bit over 2 minutes, I would think, and then we'll enter the second half of this race.
Chinese girl holding that rate up a little bit higher comparatively to the Ukrainian girl next to it. You can see just the separation of styles there. The Chinese just keeps it on her work, just keep it light, whereas the Ukrainian next to her is probably just, or is it yep, Ukrainian next to her has just got a little bit longer stroke, stronger, and just focus on just more boat run.
Lovely to see that comparison, wasn't it? You know, there are more ways of making this work. It's about what works for you, and Ludmila Lutzan there really digging into that long stroke. Chinese paddler, as you said, Lee, just keeping it chopping, keeping it on top of it. And that's the wonderful thing about particularly canoe racing, actually, perhaps more so than kayaks. There's slightly different ways of doing it. So we're getting to the final quarter of the race. So even if this is kayak, if this is a canoe, what would be their plan as they're approaching the last 250 metres?
Traditionally, most 1,000-metre paddlers, they'll be really sucking in deep right now, just trying to hold their form, hold their structure, hold that discipline and the technique, make sure they just keep that boat running through this third 250. This is always the hold right now through this third 250 because everyone wants to push really hard this last 250. So it's a really tricky situation where you want to try and just take in that breath, be ready to go, but not lose speed. I mean, the biggest mistake for most 1,000-metre paddlers is they come off the pressure in that third 250 in anticipation for the fourth 250. So that's where gains can be really made in that third 250 where athletes or crews come off the work and then you can push away. So that's something that we really worked on in the Australian team. We made sure we had a strong third 250 where we capitalised.
Yeah, and that's a little bit about confidence as well, knowing that you've got the fitness, you've done the training, you don't have to save yourself for the final 250 metres. And if you're right at the very forefront, as you were, you can't afford to do that either. And we can see Ludmila Lutzan really making a good race of this now. She's a popular paddler, as we know. She would be anyway, but given that she's Ukrainian, the difficulties that they've had, she would be a very, very popular winner. And it looks like she's leading. She's got the better of Maillard, who's picked up a stroke rate. Look at that sheer determination on her face. She is having it, absolutely. And this will be a very, very popular gold medal. A popular winner, a wonderful paddler over 200, 500, and now 1,000 metres. Ludmila Lutzan takes the win. Maria Maillard from Chile in second, and Li from China in third. quite a spread of the paddlers there, but actually, given that this is a non-Olympic discipline, this is a lot more competitive than it has been.
Yeah, the tricky thing is with these events, when they are developing and it's non-Olympic, the field does spread out a little bit.
It does indeed. So persuade us. The ICF are listening, David. Why should we be keeping the 1,000-metre races? It seems they're going shorter and shorter, but your event, the K2,000 metres, the K4,000 metres, it's a great event, isn't it?
I mean, I certainly do see value of the 500s, particularly with K1, K2, those type scenarios. But the K4, I mean, I'm speaking specifically around what I've experienced with the K4 men, in that the K4 is a big boat. K4 500 personally for me doesn't give the K4 enough time for the spectator to appreciate what it has to offer. I mean, it is an exciting race, but it's over very quickly, and I think we just need a little bit more time to watch the K4 unfold in front of the eyes. I think a lot more can happen. And K4 500 happens over in just over 75 seconds, 80 seconds. It just happens too quick to really appreciate what happens in a K4 race. Personally, I mean, there's certainly, I would really like to see ICF push for more events as much as we can. Try and take some from rowing if we could, but
indeed,
yeah, we just need more events.
Yeah, that would be great, wouldn't it? And this will be a great interview. Ross is down there on the pontoon with the winner of the C1 1,000 meters, Ludmila Lutzan.
Ludmila, congratulations. A hard race, but you have the gold medal. Well done.
Дякую, я дуже задоволена цією дистанцією. Я вперше змагалася 1000 метрів. І ця перемога я присвячую Україні. Хочу, щоб весь світ знав, що в нас в країні зараз іде війна. І щоб для нас зараз дуже тяжко взагалі сезон тренуватися. Морально нас це збиває. Але своїми перемогами ми показуємо, що ми незламний і сильний народ. І ми обов'язково переможемо.
Well done, Ludmila. Congratulations.
Well, an emotional Ludmila Lutzan, winner of the women's C1000 metres, and there's the flag, and understandably emotional. That one was for everyone in Ukraine that is suffering so much at the moment. Well done to her winning that race in 4:25. Maria Maillard from Chile in second place, and Li from China takes third place. So we have one more race to come, and this is going to be a great one. We've got 4 minutes to go. It's the K1 men 1,000 meters. I always used to see it as a blue ribboned event, which is a little bit unfair to some of those other events, but it is a great race to see. As you've talked about, David, it's about telling the story. 1,000 meters allows us to do that. We should get some great racing here, and we might see something unexpected, but I suspect what we'll see is Fernando Pimenta go out hard.
Fernando, Mr. Consistent in terms of K1000 for many years now. He's always been in that top three. He's taken some really solid wins, but he's always been reliably extremely hard to beat. He's the kind of guy where if you beat him, you're going to win the race. And that's kind of where I expect him to be right now. He's going to take it out and take the win, and you've got to take it away from him.
Yeah, and he's a sort of talisman of the sport as well, both representing Portugal, his country, but also the sport. He speaks very well about the development of canoeing, sprint canoeing as well, and I do hope that he stays within the sport once his long and successful career is over, but it's certainly not over yet, and he'll be, as you said, looking to put the others under pressure early on in this race. And he certainly looked good. He looked really strong in the earlier rounds. Now, Artur Peters, okay, don't discount him either. Bronze medal at the European Championships in Poznan last year. Regular finalist in World Cups. He's in lane 1. Lane 2, Tom Green, of course, the Tokyo K2 Olympic champion, and also Olympic finalist in the K1 1,000 meters this event. Bojan Zdela from Serbia, and just missed out on the medals in the World Championships in 2021. Then Fernando Pimenta, there he is, 2012 K2 silver medalist at the Olympics, Tokyo bronze medalist in this very event, and just a master of the sport. I remember back in 2018 winning on his home water, hugely popular in Portugal. Samuel Burgo from Italy goes in lane 5, and next to him Andrea Sciarra, also from Italy, just missing out on the medals at last year's World Championships in this event too. Watch out for him. Augustin Vernice, he will be in lane 7. Then in picture, Rene Paulsen. Goodness me, he is experienced as well, isn't he?
Fantastic skill set. Always reliably competitor, to be competitive in this event.
Yeah, and he's looks in good shape here actually. Perhaps sort of towards the end of last season, maybe struggled a little bit. But yeah, seems to be on good form here. And then in lane 9, Jakob Schopf. Watch out for him. 2nd place in the K2000 meters in Tokyo. Also 4th, just missed out on the medals in Tokyo in the K1 and competed in the K4 here. A little bit disappointed with that, so he'll be looking to do better in this, the final of the K1 men 1000 meters.
Strong start by the Italians. Looks like they are very good form, those boys.
Yeah, and you can see Tom Green, as you mentioned, I mean, what a race that was in the men's K2 in Tokyo. That was incredible. And a race like that must give you confidence, whatever boat you're in now.
Absolutely. K2000, K1000, you're going to have a really good confidence in how you're going to approach that race. Tommy, as himself, he's still developing his own K1 performance, but as you can see right now, Pimenta moving out quick. Tommy still following through, moving into 2nd, following through in here. So Tommy's biggest weakness is just sometimes he can fall asleep a little bit through the middle. What Jimmy's been working on very hard is making sure he stays on top of his work to move through here. So if he stays on top of his work moving through this middle 500, he can be very competitive at the back end.
Well, if you look at it there, actually got away to a good start and then just dropped back a bit as Pimenta came through after the start. But actually, good placing at the moment from the Australian as we get to that towards the middle part of the race.
This is where Pimenta does incredible work. Technically proficient, incredible technique. If you ever want to watch someone technically, watch Pimenta. Just the way he enters the water, the way his body moves with his leg drive, the timing of the leg drive through the body movement is incredible. Just very clean, extremely efficient paddler.
Yeah, he is, and he's worked hard on that with his longtime coach, Elio Lukas, and it really works well for him, doesn't it? And he's first to go through, 1:38, 1:39 maybe. That's a good time, good split time for 1,000 meters.
And it's very quick. I mean, we probably won't be seeing something like we saw in Tokyo from Balint Kopas in the world's fastest time, but we are probably looking at something around that 3:25, 3:26 if the boys are still feeling good.
Well, that will be interesting, but he won't be bothered about time, will he? He'll be thinking about executing his race plan, holding that technique up under pressure. Rene Paulsen also coming through well there. Watch out for him.
Well, interesting to see where Tom has actually held form, holding speed. He's just about that boat and a half off. Tom does have an incredibly strong backhand, so if I was to predict it, he'll be close to be pushing through on Pimenta coming in this last 250.
Well, you can see that from that fantastic forward shot from the drone there. This is not going all Pimenta's way. He's got a lead, but he's being put under pressure. And as you say, if Tom Green shows that he's got the back end, the final 250 meters, we're right there now. He's right up with Pimenta, and Pimenta has to have some answers because Thomas Green is asking the questions.
Tom does have that gearing. It just depends on what he's burnt through in that middle 500 try to hold his form. Pimenta does look like he's feeling pretty confident and strong. Possibly that tailwind could be keeping it light for Pimenta to hold on to that speed. Tom is just starting to wind up right now.
Well, here we go. We're down to the, once we see these red boys, we're down to the last 100 meters. Eyeballs out on the deck, giving it everything. Over to the subconscious now. Just keep that rhythm, maintain that form, and it's what Pimenta does so well. But here comes Tom Green once again. Only about 50 meters to go. He's getting a sniff of it, a taste of it. He can sense he's nearly there. What has Pimenta got? Maybe just enough to hold him off. And Pimenta takes the win. Thomas Green in 2nd. Difficult to say 3rd, Italy or Belgium. But, well, that was a great race, wasn't it? Fernando Pimenta was actually quite similar to the Olympic Games, given that it was a fast time. It was a tailwind. Pimenta got out well. This time he held on for the win. Thomas Green really came back at him late on, didn't he? Put him under all sorts of pressure, but that's the mark of the man Pimenta there. That's no wonder he's a multi-medalist and former world champion.
Absolutely. As you can see through that middle part of the race, he just pushed out, technically proficient, extremely clean strokes. He just extended out that lead post 250. And that's where he's just so good. hopefully, moving forward, he's going to be working on that back 250 because you know what's going to be happening coming through with the Hungarian Balint Kopaz. He's always going to have this super strong back end. So Pimenta's going to be feeling very confident, but you dare say that he's going to be working on that back end to make sure he holds that speed all the way to the line.
Yeah, it has indeed. Look at that. And as you said, anyone that wants to see an exponent of good technique should watch Fernando Pimenta. That's what worked for him. That's what counted in the end. But Thomas Green, the young Australian, he's getting better and better, it seems, with every season. And right down there at the bottom of the there of the course, lane 9, Jakob Schoff came through very quickly as well. So we'll have to keep an eye and wait for the confirmation of results. We haven't had any results come up on the graphic, which means it's very close. Here we are, 3:24. Wow, that is fast. It's not necessarily a world best time, but it is quick. Thomas Green in second. It was Jakob Schoff taking the bronze medal from lane 9.
Very impressive time by Pimenta and Tom and Jacob Schoff. The only time to go under 3:25 in fresh water. One thing we got to remember, that 3:20 that Balint Kopaz did, that was in Tokyo. Deep, salt, warm water. So incredibly fast. I doubt it's going to be touched for a long time, but 3:24 World Cups. Water's not that warm at this point in time. That's very good.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. He's always good for an interview as well, Fernando Pimenta. And so hopefully he will be down there on the pontoon with Ross, and we'll get a little chat with him. We also might just cast our mind back to the morning and have a think, David, about some of the events that we've seen and what we perhaps most enjoyed. There's been some fantastic competitive racing, hasn't there, over the course of this morning, and hopefully we'll see Fernando in just a minute coming down to Ross, but also we might get a quick chance to just chat a little bit after that on what you made of today's racing.
Look, it was a fantastic day's racing so far. Seeing the energy and excitement for everyone around. I know for myself as a coach, it was actually quite interesting to see the coaches. There was a bit of tension in the air, particularly around the K4 heats. There's a lot of coaches, and you just see it's just the first time everyone's back into a World Cup knowing it's time to go. We're moving forward as a sport, and everyone's here putting their best foot forward. And you could really feel that in the air with the athletes, with the staff.
That's great, isn't it? A bit of nervous tension, that all comes with excitement. That's what we do it for. That's why we do it. And we're good. We've had a chance to have this little chat because Fernando Pimenta, though he's very, very good at racing 1,000 metres, struggling a little bit to get onto the pontoon. But there he is with Ross, and no doubt he'll have a good chat with him there, and we'll get a view for how he's feeling about that race and maybe about the rest of the season. But first of all, the sportsman that he is means he wants to go and congratulate Thomas Green on a really, really fantastic race.
Fernando. No time for idle chit-chat, Fernando. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice start to 2022 for you.
Yeah, like last Olympic cycle. I started last Olympic cycle with a gold. I remember in Montemar, I think so. And after 5 years, back to the new Olympic cycle, a little bit more short, but not in my best shape yet. I feel every day better, but not like now in the better shape. And I think we will improve a very good show to the sports lover for the canoeing family, and I think it's the most important. Feel the canoeing with life.
How important is the next 3 years for you? After what happened in Tokyo, how important is Paris for you now?
Yeah, after Tokyo, with the bronze medal, what I feel it's no more pressure, because I take one goal in my life. It's one medal in K1, and now I just need to take one gold because I have one silver, one bronze, and maybe for the collection stay full with a better face. One gold, I think it's a beautiful size.
Well, you made the right.
I want to work for this, because I think I do some fails in Tokyo.
Well, you've made the right start, Fernando, so congratulations. Yeah. Well done.
We learn. Thank you so much. How are you?
Well, congratulations to Fernando Pimenta, the World Cup winner here in the K1 Men 1,000 metres. Well, we'll have to take our leave very, very shortly from Racice. I'd like to say thank you from myself, Mally Johnson, for joining me on Planet Canoe here, and also alongside me, David Smith. It's been wonderful to have you here. Thanks for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed this event. I certainly have.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We'll hope you'll join us another time. Well, that's all from Racice for now. We will see you similar time tomorrow morning for more racing here in the Czech Republic.